Good evening and welcome. I'll call to order this meeting of council for Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. For all those able and willing, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Harris, can you please call the roll of members?
Yes, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Med.
Here.
Mr. Royo.
Here.
Mr. Cleese.
Here.
Ms. Craig.
Here.
Ms. Diaz.
Here.
Mr. Hirsch.
Here.
And President Baker.
Council President Baker is excused this evening. A few friendly reminders. Please note this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Please be sure to silence any cell phones and or devices. I'll first hear a motion for the approval of the October 22nd meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Harris?
Mr. Med.
Aye.
Mr. Royo.
Aye.
Mr. Cleese.
Aye.
Ms. Craig.
Aye.
Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch.
Aye.
Now I hear a motion for the approval of the November 4th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Harris?
Mr. Med.
Aye.
Mr. Royo.
Aye.
Mr. Cleese.
Aye.
Ms. Craig.
Aye.
Ms. Diaz.
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch.
Aye.
Next, we have proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. Mr. Harris, do we have any?
We do not.
Thank you. We'll enter the first public comment period. These are reserved for citizens who have contacted the city clerk prior to the meeting to request the opportunity to address city council. Duration of comments limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Harris, do we have any?
We do, Mr. Vice President. We have Alicia Ferrari.
May I rise? If you could just please state your name and your address.
Can you press the...
Sorry. Thank you. My name is Alicia Ferrari. My address is 502 Walnut Street, Wrightsville, Pennsylvania. I'm not a Lancaster City resident any longer. I'm here to address the incident that occurred between the police and a journalist outside of the Trump rally in Lancaster City on October 20th. It was a peaceful demonstration until a group of around 25 high school-aged boys of mixed ethnicities showed up. A white man with Confederate flag tattoos made it clear that he was their group leader. He handed these young boys Trump hats, shirts, and Trump campaign signs. The man conducted the group of boys, telling them what to shout and who to shout at. A few demonstrators standing near me took the brunt of their verbal abuse. As these boys became increasingly aggressive, they pretended to punch one of these demonstrators. All of this is documented in photos and videos. When the rally began to empty out, I observed a female Trump supporter take her cue from these young boys and shove her Trump sign into a Harris supporter's face. The Harris supporter, stunned, shoved back in self-defense, a knee-jerk reaction to being assaulted. Immediately, the Harris supporter was handcuffed, detained, and issued a citation for disorderly conduct. The instigator of this incident was nowhere to be found. I'm sharing my account of what I witnessed firsthand. As the Harris supporter was being detained, a New York City-based Getty Images photojournalist named Susan Strava tried to photograph what was unfolding. In an instant, an officer stepped out of his way to shove Susan so hard that she fell over and cracked her head on the street. Mrs. Strava was taken to LGH, treated for a concussion, and spent the next several hours undergoing tests in the emergency room. Within approximately 48 hours, the Lancaster City Police Department announced in the media that they had concluded their investigation of this incident and put out a statement that the reporter fell. I didn't even have time to file my civilian complaint. A video of this incident was shared on TikTok and on the news. It's shocking and disappointing that with such clear evidence to the contrary, the police department and the mayor moved to completely wash their hands of this as soon as possible. Where is the accountability? Where is the integrity we deserve? Another alarming fact, the Lancaster County Sheriff was inside of that Trump rally publicly endorsing Trump. After what I witnessed, and after the city stated a clear and obvious lie when they said the officer was not responsible for shoving Miss Strava and that she fell, it seems apparent that the police were not there to protect everyone present. Peaceful demonstrators asked the officers for help when the young boys started becoming aggressive and violent, ripping signs out of people's hands and tearing them to shreds. We asked the officers for help when these boys broke the stage upon which they were standing. The police did absolutely nothing to de-escalate the situation that they then lost control of. When they lost control, they victimized a photojournalist and then blamed her for it. I approached the officer about his conduct, and he shrugged his shoulders in a very nonchalant manner. How can we trust our police and our leaders after something like this? What will you do to regain the public trust? And what will you do to ensure the police are properly trained and managed so that they don't continue putting bystanders in danger? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ferrari. Are there any additional comments, Mr. Harris?
There are none, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you. We'll move to reports requested by council. Do we have any?
We do not, Mr. Vice President.
We'll move forward to reports of committees of council for the meetings held on November 4th, 2024. We'll start with Public Safety Committee. Councilor Diaz.
Yes, we discussed at our previous meeting, Public Safety, the Administration Resolution 84-2024, which is approving emergency operation plan for the city, and this will be brought up at our legislation agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. We'll move to the Public Works Committee. Councilor Hirsch.
Thank you, Vice President. The Public Works Committee did meet on November 4th, discussed 3 items, 2 of which appear on tonight's legislative agenda. The 2 legislative items are Resolution 83-2024, accepting dedication of a water line to the city, and Ordinance Bill Number 9-2024, which would allow the Traffic Commission to initiate a pilot program for the RPP Residential Parking Permit Program. Additionally, Public Works Director Stephen Campbell gave an overview presentation on the city's capital plan, which will be discussed in greater detail in our budget hearing this coming Thursday, right here in City Hall at 6:30 p.m. And that concludes the report of the Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Councilor Hirsch. We'll go to the Economic Development Committee. Councilor Ahmed.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Economic Development Committee did not meet in our last session.
Thank you, Councilor Ahmed. We'll go to the Finance Committee. I'll do that request, Chair. Finance Committee did meet during the last session to discuss Administration Resolution Number 85-2024, which will appear on our agenda later this evening, and we'll discuss in further detail. That concludes my report. We'll move to the Community Planning Committee. Councilor Craig.
Council Vice. The community planning did meet. We had several items on the agenda for the heritage conservation, which will come up on our legislative agenda in a little while. Also, resolution number 75, amending the sewage facility plan for Price Elementary School, which is also on the legislative agenda, and several local shares accounts that we reviewed, and this evening there's an additional few more. That would conclude community planning.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. We'll move to the Personnel Committee. Councilor Khalid.
Thank you, Councilor Vice President. The Personnel Committee met on November 4th and reviewed nominations for appointment to the Lancaster City Housing Authority and Downtown Investment District Authority, and nominations for reappointment to the Lancaster City Housing Authority, Downtown Investment District, Traffic Commission, and Lancaster Industrial Development Authority. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilor Khalid. We'll move to the legislative agenda. First, we have up on the legislative agenda the legislative budget transfers to consider the legislative budget transfers for the third quarter of 2024 for workers' compensation expenses. The city is self-insured for workers' compensation costs. Every year, funds to pay workers' compensation claims are included in the individual department budgets, but those claims are paid from the administrative services budget. So each quarter, we shift money from the departments where those injured workers have made claims to the administrative services budget to cover the costs. For the third quarter of the year, workers' comp claims were made by the city police officers and firefighters. A total of $4,652.29 is being moved from that police bureau and fire bureau budgets to administrative services. Because this money is being moved between departments, this requires city council approval. So I'll make a motion to approve the third quarter workers' compensation transfers totaling $4,652.29 as proposed.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Harris?
Mr. Minnick?
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
We'll move on to nominations for appointment.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Before I move on with the appointments and reappointments, I wanted to inform Council and the public that Ms. Sharon Allen Spence appointment is pushed back to December council meeting because she's unable to attend that meeting tonight. So in December, she will have the opportunity to meet with council. And now I make a motion to approve the appointment of Kelsey Kemen to the Downtown Investment District Authority for a term from November 12, 2024 to December 31st, 2029. And approve the reappointment of Teddy Booker to the Downtown Investment District Authority for a term from December 31st, 2024 to December 31st, 2029. Michelle Kane to the Lancaster City Housing Authority for a term from November 21st, 2024 to November 21st, 2029. Constantine Mendros to the Traffic Commission for a term from December 31st, 2024 to December 31st, 2026. And Ben Bamford to the Lancaster Industrial Development Authority for a term from December 31st, 2024 to December 31st, 2029.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Harris?
Mr. Minnick?
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to the Heritage Conservation and Historic Districts, considering the following applications for recommendations for approval.
Yes, Mr. Vice President. Considering the following applications and recommendations from the Historical Commission and Historical Architectural Review Board for improvements to properties within the Heritage Conservation and Historic Districts. The first is Dogwood Tree Holdings, owner of 439 West King Street, rear, proposed demolition of a one-story frame garage facing West Grand Street. Next, Boys and Girls Club of Lancaster, owners of 229 West Lemon Street, proposed demolition of a modern covered entry porch to be replaced by new entry steps and an accessible ramp. Union Community Care, owner of 234 West Orange Street, proposes demolition of an elevated parking deck and a brick elevator penthouse to allow new construction. And Union Community Care, owner of 234 West Orange Street, proposes construction of new overbuilds above existing building sections. Next, Nathan Lee Miller, owner of 12 Coral Street, proposes construction of a three-story residential duplex on an existing cleared parcel. And Inline Properties, owner of 114-116 West Chestnut Street, proposes construction of a new third-story extension and a rear overbuild on bare buildings. Downtown High School LLC, owner of 764 High Street, proposes installation of new clapboard siding over existing masonry walls on the ground floor rear wing of a commercial building. And all those are recommended for approval by the Historical Commission. And next we have Blue Room Development LLC, Fig Industries, owner of 103 South Duke Street, requests installation of a new commercial signage on the building's front entryway. Jean Bednarski, owner of 316 Church Street, requests replacement of wooden siding on a modern townhouse with new fiber cement lap siding. And finally, Community Fellowship Church, owner of 343 West Chestnut Street, requests replacement of entry doors and below-grade basement windows and installation of new signage. And those applications are recommended for approval by the Historical Architectural Review Board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions from council or comments from council?
None. Council Vice, we reviewed these at committee meeting, and I don't have anything to add to what was just said, so.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions from the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Met?
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo?
Aye.
Mr. Please?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
We'll move on to ordinances for first reading. Administration Bill Number 9, 2024.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 22, the Code of the City of Lancaster, Boards, Commissions, etc., Article 7, Traffic Commission, 2220, Residential District Parking, Meter Zones, to specifically authorize the Traffic Commission to, from time to time, create, establish, and monitor pilot programs related to residential district parking meters with terms of no more than 1 year, providing for the repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for the severability of the ordinance, and providing that the ordinance shall take effect in accordance with Pennsylvania law.
This is an ordinance for first reading. Councilor Hirsch?
Thank you, Vice President. Currently, Traffic Commission is authorized to make changes to the RPP permit parking program in the public right-of-way in Lancaster. The city has been exploring changes to the RPP program and has been working with a consultant over the last year on what changes are needed to be made to the RPP program. The city made a presentation to the public on September 10th regarding the changes they're considering and discussed the 3 phases of the implementation of these changes. Phase 1 includes mostly administrative changes, but specifically during Phase 2, 2025, the city has 2 pilots planned with the recommended changes being implemented in those pilot programs, including license plate reading technology for improved enforcement of RPP zones, as well as making RPP zones a 2x2 block area. So both of these pilots will go forward adhering to that criteria or testing those out, among other things. But this ordinance simply clarifies that, clarifies the authority of the Traffic Commission to conduct a pilot program. So it's essentially just verifying that our code, our ordinance allows for the Traffic Commission to conduct this pilot program. As said, this is a first reading, and I believe the second reading will be scheduled for a regular meeting of council November 26th. No action would be required for the item this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hirsch. As an ordinance for first reading, we'll move on to the resolutions for this evening. Mr. Harris?
Resolution number 75, a resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster approving the adoption of an amendment to the Act 537 Official Sewage Facilities Plan for the City of Lancaster.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
So this is a sewage, amending the official sewage facilities plan to include Price Elementary School project. The Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection requires the municipality to adopt an official sewage facilities plan, providing for services adequate to prevent contamination and environmental health hazards with sewage waste, and to amend when necessary to assure there is adequate sewage disposal. When we reviewed this at committee, Senior Planner Lauren provided an update on the School District of Lancaster's plan to construct a new Price Elementary School on the site of the existing Lancaster Recreation Commission buildings adjacent to the city's Brandon Park. And the sewage plan, the official sewage plan was the cost of all that. So, I don't have anything else to add to that.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions or comments from council? From the public? That, Mr. Harris?
Mr. Matt?
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Great. We'll move to the Administration Resolution Number 76, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for Chestnut Housing's Dinah Hill Apartments.
Motion to approve?
Second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. We were addressed by, I lost my notes. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. What happened again? Anyway, we were addressed by Tina Campbell, Director Tina Campbell, and she gave us a brief outline of what the local shares, how the funds are received. So the account grant program, the city they go through the city, and the city does not award the funds. It comes from the state, and when the funds come in, they're turned over to the sub-grantee.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. And I'll just add that these are from gambling proceeds that the state awards these funds through. So council does not approve the applications, but will just approve it to go through as a pass-through. Great. Any questions or comments from council? From the public?
Irene Grievous, 400 block of West End Avenue. Isn't this a conflict of interest? Because former director Jesse King was on the board, correct? With the Chestnut Hill Housing? Is this another?
I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but the city does not award any funds, so these would not be coming from any funds, so there wouldn't be any.
But you're voting on it. So if you're voting on it, and we have an administrator who works for the city of Lancaster, clearly that's a conflict of interest in most people's opinion.
Yeah, Ms. T no longer works for the city of Lancaster. Ms.
But she did,
A while ago, yes.
correct. And she received, city council voted on it then, and you're voting on it again.
Yes.
So clearly,
Any further questions or comments, Ms. Green?
no, that's all.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Madden?
Aye.
Mr. Arroyo?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
We'll move on to resolution number 77, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for Thaddeus Stevens Home Building Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. the Vice President of Advancement for Thaddeus Stevens College addressed this and described the school's home building program at the former Shell Recycling Center site on Stevens Avenue. Also, it said the college will construct homes on that site for 4 years. The first duplex was recently completed and 3 more will be built. The $1 million being requested through the local shares account program will be used to construct a road on the site that will provide access to those homes. It will also serve the fresh food market on part of the site that is being developed by South Ann Street concerned neighbors. Also noted, the homes are intended to address the affordable housing crisis and are being sold to owner occupiers with incomes at 80% or less of median income. Also addressed was the college cost to build all the homes is about between $4 and $6 million, depending on the construction materials. There you go.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions or comments from council? From the public?
Irene Grievous, once again. Who is behind the construction, may I ask? Or who's going to be doing the construction work for this project?
I do not have that.
The students at Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology.
And it's not Benchmark?
No.
Okay, I will be following up on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Met?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Great, we'll move on to resolution number 78, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for Community Action Partnership of Lancaster County's Domestic Violence Services Bridge House.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. We also addressed this at committee on the 4th. Ms. Perez, Vice President of Economic Empowerment for the Community Action Partnership, and John McGowan, Chief Business Officer, addressed domestic violence services, bridge house renovations, and improvements initiatives. Bridge House is a 10-unit apartment building for survivors of domestic abuse and their children. Renovations began last year with the American Rescue Plan Act and grant funds. The $1 million being sought from the local shares program would fund a new elevator, security measures, replacement of roof, and other upgrades. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Met?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Move on to administration resolution number 79, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for Lancaster Recreation Commission's renovation of Price Elementary School.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. We addressed this at committee, and Heather Digay, Executive Director of the Lancaster Recreation Commission, described planned renovations for the former Price Elementary School building to create a child care facility. She said more than 200 children will be served in the complete child care space. Additionally, there will be about 300 spaces for care for school-age children. She also cited that plans for the senior center, STEM lab, and other facilities, the total cost for the project has increased to about $12 million, and increase in cost by $2 to $4 million was due to asbestos removal and addition of a fire suspension system and a partial replacement of the building's roof. There you go.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Please?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to Administration Resolution Number 80, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for Regenerative Nexus Rambo Land.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. The director, Max, and I apologize because I can't pronounce his last name, Executive Director of Regenerative Nexus and the Rambo Land Project. Rambo Land will address many issues within a modest scale. He also said that many of the initiatives wrapped in this project have been done elsewhere by individual project partners, but not all within the same demonstration site. The model project will address a host of challenges, including sustainability, handicap access, and food security.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Please?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Move on to Administration Resolution Number 81, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $487,951 for YMCA Lancaster's Y Forward project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. Ms. Lake, Executive Director of the YWCA Lancaster, thank Council for the local shares account funding, which her project received 2 years ago for the first phase. The Y Forward project is adding 16 housing units, 11 counseling offices, and an interior elevator to the YWCA building. The $15 million project is actively under construction. This funding would add the elevator that should be complete in January of 2026.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Please?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Next is Administration Resolution Number 82, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for the City of Lancaster's improvements to South End Park.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you again. Public Works Deputy Director and City Engineer Cindy McCormick presented plans for the South End Park located at Beaver and Furnace Street. He said the renovations are intended to create access for the disabled, create green space, a track, new play structures, and a water feature. Renovations to the building will provide heating and air conditioning for use throughout the year. The total budget for the project is $2.5 million. The application for local shares account program for $1 million if funded, is awarded, the project would be complete by late 2026.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Madden?
Aye.
Mr. Roya?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Davis? Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to Administration Resolution Number 83, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster accepting the bill of sale, acceptance of dedication of an 8-inch water main from Parkside at Lampeter, and directing and authorizing the proper officials of the City of Lancaster to take all necessary actions to effectuate the same.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Hirsch?
Thank you, Vice President. Resolution 83-2024 was presented by Director Campbell at our committee meeting. And in that meeting, he explained that these resolutions are primarily to, or this particular resolution is primarily to inform and receive the consent of council for these water line dedications. Used to be more of a background process. There's roughly 1 to 4 of these applications per year. In this particular case, private developer has built a 66-unit housing development in West Lampeter Township with the water infrastructure included, building coordination with city engineers, inspectors to ensure the lines are up to city code. Some of you may know West Lampeter Township is included in our service area for water. This infrastructure in this arrangement, though, is then handed over to the city at no cost with the city's agreement to maintain that infrastructure.
Thank you, Councilor Hirsch. Any questions or comments from council?
Council Vice President, if I may. Director Campbell, I had a follow-up question to our discussion at committee, if you don't mind. Primarily, I just wanted to ask, I know you had mentioned that the city would not want to avoid entering into this agreement because it distributes the maintenance obligations over a greater base of ratepayers. But my question is essentially, does DPW, any other department of the city, do some kind of either cost-benefit analysis or an analysis to at least understand what the future maintenance obligations associated with this particular development would be?
Thank you very much for the question. Generally speaking, we do an assessment based on the condition and the age of the facility. As a new facility, where we and our staff are involved in the design, the oversight, and the installation, overseeing the installation, we're quite not only aware but quite satisfied that it's being installed at the standards that are necessary for us to be able to receive it properly. What it also does for us is it allows us to continue to be serving the larger population, add several more, in this case 66 more ratepayers, and thereby better distribute the cost of maintenance throughout the system. The key benefit to us is that we do not have to pay for the installation of this key infrastructure, which would otherwise have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The other part is that we don't, hold on a second, we don't have any further challenge about what is appropriate to be installed in our system or not. It's an open process. This is something that, as I had mentioned, generally happens 1 to 4 times per year. It has for the last number of years. We're just wanting to be transparent that we're receiving new infrastructure deeded to us, dedicated to us, that we can manage appropriately. The cost-benefit analysis is that we do not have to spend capital dollars for this key infrastructure, and we receive the benefit.
Yeah, thank you, Director Campbell. That's helpful. Because I guess where I'm coming from is like, we know that the city has these like costly mandates coming up, and we're concerned about the cost of water, and that if we're to enter into an agreement with a private developer that their incentives aren't necessarily like aligned to the point where like the city's water fund solvency is not like necessarily top of mind, and you have these municipalities that are adjacent to the city that might not have the same planning standards as the city does. You're extending longer pipe to fewer customers with some of these less dense developments, and I guess my concern is that while obviously it makes sense for us to take on an obligation that is happening within the city water service area, like at the same time, I guess, if we haven't even analyzed whether the decision nets out in and of itself, and we repeat that, over a series of time, over a number of years, you can't make up that deficit with volume. So I guess my concern is that we're receiving something that, while we don't have to pay it up front, and while we would receive the payment of ratepayers, are we saddled with an obligation in the long run? Maybe I'm kind of on a soapbox here. Maybe this isn't a reasonable question. I guess one of the things that I think about is the fact that, like, in municipal finance, we list things like roads and pipes as assets on city financial statements. But the reality is, they're maintenance obligations. They are things that we have to pay to maintain in perpetuity. And I guess this question just kind of gets at that longer term covering of the cost to maintain, if that makes sense. And again, maybe I'm totally off base or there's context I'm missing, but
So I will confess that it may not be clear to me what the specific nature of your concern is. Ordinarily, we are looking to be able to acquire at little or no cost infrastructure as appropriate. We're not buying a pig in a poke here. We've been very much involved in the design process, the permitting process, the oversight of the installation, and we are very happy and satisfied with the quality of the work. We do not have the ability, as the type of municipality we are, to charge tapping fees for building new infrastructure to serve a larger population. This really is about the best way that we can do this kind of work. We're not, if we chose to expand, say, acquire other infrastructure in other parts of the county, we would also have to go through an inspection process, but we would not have the benefit of being involved in the design process. So here, for new infrastructure, new developments, this is about the best situation we possibly could be in, where we are not saddled with the capital costs, but the maintenance costs are distributed to the outside ratepayers for those that are outside the city limits. As you know, there are two separate rates for inside ratepayers and outside ratepayers. This distributes that cost better to lessen the costs across the system.
no, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Hirsch. Any additional questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Madden? Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to Administration Resolution Number 84, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster approving the Emergency Operations Plan of the City of Lancaster prepared by the Emergency Management Coordinator and directing and authorizing the proper officials of the City of Lancaster to take all necessary actions to effectuate the same.
Motion to approve. Second. We have a motion and a second. Councilor Diaz?
Yes, we discussed this last week. Deputy Fire Chief Chris DeLong noted that the development of the plan followed by collaborative 16-month process. He also said that the new plan overcome previous shortcomings and builds a fundamental examples. He said the section would change more frequently, have been removed from the plan, so they do not need to wait 5 years until the next plan is adopted. I'm not sure if he would like to add anything else additional to that. Then that would be it.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Mena?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz? Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to Administration Resolution Number 85, 2024.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, approving a project to be undertaken by the Lancaster Municipal Authority for the benefit of Luther Care, a nonprofit corporation, and declaring that it is desirable for the health, safety, and welfare of the people in the area to be served by the facilities being financed as part of such project to have such facilities provided by or financed through such authority.
Motion to approve.
Second.
During the last committee meeting, we had Solicitor Aaron Hollis join us from the Lancaster Municipal Authority, and he presented to council and stated the authority has approved the tax-exempt municipal bond funding for Luther Care in the amount of $41.8 million. This financing is a refinancing of existing debt, and no new construction is being planned. This is not an obligation of the municipal authority, and the municipal authority acts as a pass-through for this funding. Any questions or comments from council? From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Mena?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
And Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll go to resolution number 86, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $500,000 for Lancaster County EMS's Refresh Lancaster.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. These next three resolutions actually go along with the local share account programs that was presented before. I'll hand it over to Councilor Craig.
Thank you, Council Vice. Well, like I said, we are doing local shares, and in an attempt to, I found my notes. Director Tina Campbell informed us that the local shares account grants come from the state, but must come to a municipality. The municipality, in this case, is the city, and then the city passes the funds to the sub-grantee. So, is there someone here from Lancaster Emergency Medical? No? Okay. And if not?
Great. It doesn't look like anyone is present for this one. This resolution was provided to council beforehand for review. Any questions or comments from council?
Yeah.
From the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Bennett? Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to Administration Resolution Number 87, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for Lancaster Masonic Temples facility renovations.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. Is there anybody here from the Masonic Temple? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Council. Thaddeus D'Ambrosia for Lancaster Masonic Temple. Would you like me to present, Ms. Craig?
Yes, please.
All right. I'll be brief. The project overview, the Lancaster Masonic Center, a historic and architectural landmark located at 213 West Chestnut Street, is a central hub for community service and benevolence in Lancaster, PA. The proposed project seeks funding for a comprehensive replacement of the Masonic Center's HVAC system, which has not been upgraded since the 1970s. The current system is inefficient, costly, and unsustainable. Replacing it with a modern, energy-efficient alternative is essential to reducing operating costs, minimizing environmental impact, and ensuring a comfortable, accessible space for all users. Additionally, funding is being sought for kitchen upgrades and ADA access compliance. This project aligns closely with the City of Lancaster and Lancaster County's priority investment plans and regional economic development strategies, positioning the center as a vital community asset for years to come. The facility houses the Children's Dyslexia Learning Center of Lancaster, one of only 42 centers nationwide operated and supported entirely by Freemasons and dedicated to providing free specialized tutoring for children with dyslexia, a service invaluable to local families and school districts. This project is a priority investment consistent with goals to maintain and enhance key cultural, educational, and historic recesses. As an accessible and sustainable community resource, this project supports the region's economic development goals by ensuring that the center can continue its mission of charity, service, and community engagement. These comprehensive improvements will ensure that the Lancaster Masonic Center continues its vital charitable works, providing a welcoming, sustainable space for community activities and supporting small business and preserving the heritage of Lancaster County for future generations.
Thank you so much. One question that I would have would be your total project. What's the cost of it?
Right now, the estimates have it at around $851,000. The air conditioning, HVAC, is a little over $500,000. And there's two additional sub-projects. One would be a replacement of kitchen equipment. The kitchen is currently being rented as a business incubator for small businesses in Lancaster County that need kitchen space to cook their food and preserve it for sale. We have 3 local businesses that do that now, and we're actively pursuing others. And then there are some small electrical improvements, and we'd also like to do some ADA access improvements as well, curb cuts, sidewalk transitions, and so forth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Any additional questions or comments from council?
So it's 851,000, is that the great ask then, or?
So we asked that it be an amount not to exceed $1 million. I think we might be a little bit over the 851, but it might not hit the $1 million mark.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any additional questions or comments? Councilor Calix?
Thank you, Council President. What is the timeline of the project?
We expect to start the project, if awarded, within 6 months of the date of the award, and completion, we feel, can be done within 1 year of the award.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Calix. Any additional questions or comments from council?
I would just like to say, I want to thank council for doing these LSA applications. I know administratively it takes time and effort to do these, and each one of these projects is worthy. And I know you all know that, and I appreciate your dedication to the program and also for the organizations that are involved in the applications. So thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. Also open it up for any questions or comments from the public.
While Ms. Grievous makes her way to the microphone, I just want to comment to say that there's been more than one family that has told me how life-changing the dyslexia services that you offer in our city have been to their families and to their child's success. So
Yes.
to have you here tonight is just an opportunity for me to thank you on their behalf.
Yes, we appreciate that very much. In Harrisburg, we attend the State Employees Combined Appeal Kickoff at the Capitol every year. Last year, a lady came up to our booth and she said, "I just want to thank you for saving my daughter's life." And she told us a story similar to what you're saying about her daughter having dyslexia. And at this point, she's now on an MBA, and it really did change her life. The lady that came up to talk to us then identified herself as Pennsylvania Secretary of Health. So there's everywhere you go, these organizations, these centers are helping folks, kids and families both. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My comment or my question is, again,
You can just state your name.
Irene Grievous. I am once again asking who is going to be behind the project, not only for this one, but for all of them. They're on the list.
As far as doing the construction for this?
Correct.
Would you like me to address that?
Yes.
In the Harrisburg Masonic Center, we've just received our second LSA program. The City of Lancaster is acting as a pass-through organization for the dollars from the Pennsylvania Department of Economic Development. That would be the award. So they have no obligation under construction. They have no obligation for administrative. All they do is manage the money, because the program was designed to award money through certified economic development corporations, municipalities, and so forth. The organizations that you're seeing present and Ms. Craig talking about are the ones that receive the money, but they don't actually receive any money. It passes through them. So as an example, if we put new windows into the Masonic Center and the project costs $300,000, the Masonic Center has to pay the $300,000. And they submit it to the city, and the city forwards it on to the Department of Economic Development, who then reimburses the Masonic Center for the cost of the project.
I understand that part. My question is, who is going to be behind the project, even though the city's just doing the
Right.
finance department?
Right.
Who is behind the construction, or,
That would be the subgrantee.
and who is that?
Subgrantee would be, in this case, the Lancaster Masonic Center or some of the other organizations that you saw presented tonight.
But there has to be a construction company behind.
Yeah, certainly.
That's what I'm referring to with all
Okay.
due respect.
Got it. There's stringent requirements for bidding on these projects, and any amount over $10,000 must be publicly bid through either direct contact with vendors, construction managers, or use of electronic bidding, like a program like PenBid is what we use. in Harrisburg. But that all has to be bid, the bids have to be documented, and then you have to have, you have to have reasoning for awarding a bid to a particular vendor. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Would that be made public, who the winning bid will
yes,
be?
yes.
Because that's what I'm basically looking for.
Yes, it has to be, it wouldn't be made public by the grantee, the city of Lancaster. It would be made public by, in this case, if we get the award, the Lancaster Masonic Center. All public.
It's all public.
Yes, ma'am.
Is any one of the bids part of Benchmark by any chance that you will know of?
No.
No?
No, part of this application process is we have to provide the city with estimates from vendors. And those at this point are strictly budgetary estimates. They're not, this is the award, this is the company we're going to use. You just go out and get estimates from whatever projects you're doing, an HVAC, a kitchen company, and so forth, and they're submitted with the applications.
But you're not going to be restricted to a certain,
No.
okay.
No, the Department of Community and Economic Development is very stringent, and the projects are awarded to, or managed by one of their analysts who keeps you on the straight and narrow as far as bidding, making the bids public. Why did you award the bid in this case? It might have been lower than that, or a little bit higher than this one. What was your reasoning behind awarding the bid to the higher one, and so forth? But it's strictly managed by the Department of Community and Economic Development. The city has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you for the
additional context.
explanation.
Sure, yeah, I appreciate
But
that.
actually, in conjunction with that, or any of the other projects, is Benchmark in any of the other projects that are on
Can you
this
step up to
list?
the mic, please?
Oh, sure. My question is, are any of the other projects bidded by Benchmark in addition,
Yeah,
besides this one?
Not that I'm aware of.
And is that going to be made public?
Well, typically when these bids have not gone out yet, because the funds have not been awarded yet by the state, so that could take up to sometimes 12 months or more before the awards are sent out. And then at that point, once the funds are awarded, the awardee can bid out their construction, so that we'll know that. So you're more than welcome to follow up at that point.
Right, and that would be something that would be made public, or is this something that has to be requested?
More than welcome to check with the State of Economic, or PA State of Economic Development.
Okay, will do, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, John Gavea, 100 block of East Orange Street. I want to echo what the mayor said because it affected my family personally. I have a nephew that was really failing in school in the elementary grades because of his dyslexia. And thanks to the Masonic Center program there, he went on to become, well, I consider him very successful. He graduated from Stevens Tech and is now working for Clark Electrical. And that would not have happened had Masonic Center not stepped up and worked with him on his dyslexia. So I want to thank the Masonic Center and urge any support you can give them.
Thank you for your comment. Any additional questions or comments from the public? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Meta?
Aye.
Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Please?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Move on to resolution number 88, 2024.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster authorizing the filing of the Commonwealth Finance Authority local share account application for funding in the amount not to exceed $1 million for Lancaster History's Stevens and Smith Center.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council Vice. That was a great point, President. Is there anybody here? Step up, please. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Robin Surratt, the Vice President for Lancaster History. We are currently the organization that manages the Lancaster History Research Center, Museum, Historical Society, and the home of President James Buchanan, Wheatland. We are developing a new museum at the corner of Queen and Vine Street within the footprint of the Convention Center called the Thaddeus Stevens and Lydia Hamilton Smith Center for History and Democracy. This has been a project in the works since before the Convention Center opened. It was originally begun by Historic Preservation Trust and then handed over to us in 2010. We've been planning and dreaming for this since then, and we've been executing those plans since 2020. We hired an exhibition design firm who's been helping us create 25,000 square feet of interpretive exhibits to celebrate the life and legacy of Congressman and abolitionist Thaddeus Stevens, who changed our nation through his legislative acts, the life and legacy of his companion and housekeeper, Lydia Hamilton Smith, a remarkable entrepreneur and mixed-race woman here in Lancaster in the 19th century, and their network of abolitionists and Underground Railroad activists who actively worked to ensure the assistance of freedom seekers here in our community. We are first and foremost a center for education, for civics, for history, and we are deeply committed to community engagement throughout our process. We also believe we are a vehicle for economic impact and development here in the city. The updated 2024 Building on Strength strategic plan actually lists the Stevens and Smith Center as an opportunity for growth and development here in Lancaster. So we're eager to play the role that we can, not only in enhancing our educational opportunities, but also our economic ones as well. We appreciate the relationship we have with the Lancaster Office of Promotion, Discover Lancaster, and a number of other players to ensure that when we open, we will be able to deliver exceptional and wonderful, engaging historic tourism opportunities here in the city. Our overall budget is a $19 million project. We have raised $15 million, which is already being spent. Our design work is done, our construction work is nearly done. Our local shares account grant application will be for the exhibition fabrication. It's about a $4.5 million line item. We anticipate awarding that contract sometime in the next several months to one of 4 exhibition fabrication firms, none of which are based here locally. Lancaster County does not have the type of exhibition fabrication expertise that we need for this project. So the 4 firms that we're vetting are outside our borders, but we feel confident we'll be able to find the right partner and bring this to fruition in late 2025 or early 26.
Thank you. Sounds really exciting. Are good?
Any questions or comments from council? Councilor Ahmed?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Not a question, but just a comment. I look forward to seeing this project come across the finish line and seeing the wonders it'll do for Lancaster tourism and also for civic education, not just here in Lancaster, but across the country.
It's notable that there are 14 schools within walking distance of the center, so the field trip opportunities just here in the city are really fantastic.
Thank you, Councilor Ahmed. Any additional questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public? All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Harris?
Mr. Madden? Mr. Roy?
Aye.
Mr. Cleese?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Hirsch?
Aye.
That concludes our legislative agenda. We'll move into the second public comment period for this evening. This is open for comment about issues not on the agenda, and the duration of comments is limited to 3 minutes. Any questions or comments from any comments from the public?
My name is Irene Grievous, and I am, I wanted to make a comment about the condemnation again for 901 Manor Street. As many of you know, there was a pending litigation. The city's litigation had been dismissed for lack of prosecution after 3.5 years, or almost 3.5 years. So now I would like to know, since City Council has been basically puppets for this administration, how do we move forward to getting my property unlocked and access to my property after 3 years? My property has been boarded up, I've been locked out. And the whole answer that I've been getting for 3 years has, because this has been a pending litigation. Well, it's no longer pending litigation because I filed a motion to dismiss the city's public nuisance complaint that was filed against me for lack of prosecution. And I still have not received an apology, a formal apology from the mayor on the derogatory statements that were made about me and my properties, my tenants, specifically with the high levels of blood poisoning. And that was also dismissed on the 21st of last month on unfounded litigations, despite my right to know request, my subpoenas, motions to compel, to find out where are all these allegations coming from. I have the right to know if there's these kind of complaints. I need to know. And yet I am not getting any answers. And I want to remind, City Council is public servants. They're supposed to be serving the public, not yourselves. And for 3 years, you guys sat back, did nothing. And I'm still getting nothing. More importantly, also, my trash hasn't been being picked up from another property in order to issue citations for financial gain, of course.
It's 3 minutes, Ms. Grievous.
3 minutes, okay. Do I get any answers, or do I just have to keep coming back and asking the same questions without any answers?
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Grievous.
No answers? So I'm going to have to file a complaint against City Council because you guys do not want to do your job?
We're happy to follow up with you after the meeting, but thank you for your...
I've been waiting for answers for 3 years, and I have not received any answers in 3 years. And even Faith Craig has been in my property, and you guys sat back, did nothing. It is time for answers.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Grievous. Your time is up. Any additional comments from the public? Great, with that, I'll close the second public comment period. We'll move on to the report of the mayor.
Thank you, Vice President. First, I'm going to begin with the Fire Bureau updates tonight, and then I have a second update related to home rule. In August, the Fire Bureau took delivery of a new Pierce Enforcer pumper, which carries 750 gallons of water and has a 1,500 gallons per minute water pump. This unit has enhanced safety features such as a side rollover and frontal impact protection, as well as high visibility emergency and scene lighting. This pumper can also alert drivers that are using GPS in their vehicle that an emergency vehicle is approaching from behind or is operating ahead of them in the roadway to prevent accidents. 2 Fire Bureau promotions took place recently. Lieutenant Tom Hoffman will be promoted to captain. He will assume the captain of the fire marshal. He will assume the role of captain in the fire marshal division. And firefighter Anthony Montez will be promoted to lieutenant and will assume the role on Truck 1 B platoon. Year-to-date, the Fire Bureau has responded to 1,444 calls for service, including 111 fires, 444 EMS calls. The Bureau continues to dedicate itself to training with over 3,300 total training hours. Nearly 100 smoke detectors have been installed, and the Fire Marshal Division has inspected 184 properties. And while we're talking about fires and a new pumper, please note that a burn ban is in effect in the city, as well as a drought warning. This weekend, crews battled a brush fire that was located to the rear of 1375 Harrisburg Pike, which was caused by open burning. This incident highlights the severe risks associated with open burning in drought-like conditions. All city fire units and personnel, along with mutual aid partners from Manheim Township Fire Rescue, Lafayette Fire Department, Garden Spot Fire and Rescue, and the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, worked for over 3 hours to control the fire. Second, an update about home rule. I'm gratified that the charter was adopted by 68% of the voters in the city, winning a majority of support in every precinct. This Thursday, November 14th, Director Tina Campbell will provide an overview of the proposed 2025 budget, which was introduced in October. This budget provides for a zero property tax increase and a modest, yet to be finalized increase in earned income tax. Additionally, Director Stephen Campbell will continue the conversation began at last week's Public Works Committee meeting regarding the capital plan and budget. As you know, with the adoption of the charter, a capital plan is required to be presented to council by June 30th each year and be approved by no later than September 30th. We are beginning this process early, given that this is a first, and that there are a lot of complexities related to capital planning and budgeting. Additionally, you can expect to see a call for nominations to the Ethics Commission in the next couple of weeks. This too is required by the new charter. Nominees for appointment to the commission will come from a public register of nominees. They will be responsible for making recommendations to City Council regarding provisions to be included in the Ethics Code, for developing a plan to educate city elected officials and staff, as well as city vendors and subcontractors regarding the Ethics Code, and for establishing a process to conduct investigations. Next come changes to the Administrative Code, a process which will take many months. Mr. Handwerker, the city solicitor, has outlined specific items in the charter, as well as items that may also be addressed under home rule. Proposed changes will be brought to council for review and public dialogue. We anticipate bringing the first tranche of Administrative Code changes to council in March or April. And finally, a transition committee that will oversee this process is being created in accordance with the charter. That transition committee is basically responsible for ensuring that all of the provisions in the charter as set forth and approved by Lancaster City voters are being enacted. This transition committee will be comprised of myself, Home Rule Study Commissioner John McGran, and a member of City Council yet to be determined. Quarterly public meetings will be held to provide residents with updates of the work of implementing the charter, and I will make sure that council is aware when these are scheduled. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sarachi. Next is a report of President of Council. Council President Baker did not have a report for this evening. I'll move on to council comments.
If I may.
Councilor Diaz?
Mr. Campbell, is there a way that you could respond to any trash that Mrs. Grievous might have? I mean, that would concern me, no matter what resident it is.
Thank you for the question. Generally speaking, many of the apartments are private haulers, so I'm not aware of the particular hauling situation in this case. If you bring that to my attention, I can follow up and find out. But if it's a matter of public hauling, then that can be attended to immediately.
Thank you. Mrs. Grievous, if you can send your address to where this trash is, I would be happy to forward it to Mr. Campbell.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. Any additional questions any additional council comments?
I'm not allowed to speak to.
I'll take this opportunity to remind the public that next Tuesday we'll be raising the Puerto Rican flag at City Hall. This will take place on Tuesday, November 19th at 11 a.m. Feel free to join us. With that, I'll move to adjournment. Your motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Second? Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.